So, hi. So, we are actually not in the shed today. And as you can see, there's only just me. We're doing a bit of a solo. So the shed is on tour and a bit indisposed today. So I'm just going to be talking on my own. But we've got the wonderful Annabel Jardella back because we had such a great conversation about skin and how important that is when you get to, menopause, post-menopause, particularly as me and Anne are, and for me, into your 60s, how can you support your skincare? So welcome back, Annabel.
Hi, Alison. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And I have turned up, as you asked, without anything on my face. So there we go. A bit scary. And I've got lights on so you can see what my skin looks like. But yeah, so I think you talked about me showing you what I use first of all, and then you can say how good or bad or where I should be going next, and just
Yes.
listen about that. So I just have, as I say, I don't have very much. I have a pathetically small list of products that I have here with me because I essentially just cleanse and moisturize. So I might use Simple, which is it calls Refreshing Facial Wash. It says kind
Sorry,
to skin.
has it got witch hazel in it?
I don't think it has. I tried to not do that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I saw that on the label.
It says it's got all these different kind of things on it. It says a special blend, and then everything's very, very tiny.
Okay, don't worry, that's fine.
It's got a whole list of kind of
Yeah.
things that don't mean anything to me, but it
Okay,
doesn't
you can
say.
you can send me a snap of it later, or
Okay, all right. So
just the name of
don't
it.
know that. And then the other thing that I have in my is sometimes, and this so I might use this one, the Organia
Micellar water, yeah.
micellar water, and this is the rose water. There's a bit of
Okay.
a rose theme about my skincare, as
Which
you can see.
makes sense. That's quite
So,
interesting.
and it says enriched with rose water and things like this. And I find this useful, particularly if I've been wearing makeup, because it will take everything off. It's great, but it's
Yeah.
quite gentle. So I do that. And then I've got two things, and I'm coming to the end of these two things. So I am looking for my next steps and what I should be getting. So moisturizer, I've got this, which is Pearl Essence. I've
Okay.
never heard, I don't know what that
I
brand is.
haven't either, so I will look at that. I'll look that one up.
There's whipped moisture cream, and it's got hyaluronic acid in it and peach extract. And it is very light. But as you can
Okay.
see, when you look at the ingredients, of course, the first ingredient is purified water. So it's probably mostly water with some things in it. But then when I was in Morocco, I bought some rose oil.
Wonderful.
And it's because I think some time ago, I think my daughter brought me back some rose oil from she'd gone to Budapest, and I tried it out, and it was just fabulous on my skin. It was really great, and it really just made it feel really nourished and things like that. So those are things, but as you can tell, not very much left in there.
Not very much left, which is good because then I can recommend. Okay, so
where I go next. So there we go. So
let's just a quick
I've
question.
managed to get to 65 looking like
Well, it's pretty impressive. What the first question I've got is: are you using the micellar water and the cleanser at the other? Are you using them together, combined?
No, I use them. It's either or.
Right, perfect, exactly. And the rose oil before bed, both day or in the morning as well?
Only in the morning. I once tried to do I had a night cream, and it just sat there for ages because I kept forgetting to do it. So I tend
Yeah.
not to put anything on at night.
Okay, well, that's quite interesting as a first point, because actually at night is when our skin and our body is kind of, cells are renewing, etc., etc. So it's actually a really good time to put something performance on. And an oil can also feel very comforting because you can also use something like the gua sha tools with them as well, just to, help circulation, and obviously just helping for the face to relax, and obviously for our fine lines and wrinkles. It can be really, really useful. So the first thing I would recommend is to insert the oil into the evening routine at both times a day if you want. It's interesting you've gone for rose, because I think if you look rose up, it's a very comforting essence anyway. So I can understand your body's probably like So the other one you showed me was a hyaluronic. So hyaluronic acid is always quite interesting with this, and what a lot of people don't realize is that hyaluronic helps to hold water into the skin, right? But if there isn't enough water around, what it can actually do is end up dehydrating the skin. So often, not necessarily with a cream, but if you had like a hyaluronic serum, it's always good to put it on maybe with a damp face, because then it's pulling the water in. So if you're in quite a dry environment, so for example, in the winter when you've got central heating going on, potentially it can be counterproductive and can end up drying, because it will pull moisture from wherever it needs. One of the biggest things, the two biggest things I think postmenopausal skin are dealing with is hydration on every level. You need as much water, you know, in the skin, on the skin, as possible. And obviously the texture of our skin is changing, and the tone of our skin is changing, which we're going to come into in our next session when we start thinking about as well what we can use on the makeup side of things to really change complexion. But it's a combination of these two things that are working together. Changing different brands is an interesting one. We all do it, even from my teenage years. And when I'm seeing teens, they're doing it. And it's sometimes these days counterproductive, because a lot of the time you've got ingredients that may not be working together, but actually might be repelling each other. And that can definitely happen between skincare to makeup. So you might want to think about streamlining those products into one brand or two brands.
Okay.
As a first. The second thing I would suggest is to think about a mask. I don't think we're using them enough anymore, but I love masks. I think they can really help brighten, hydrate. You don't need to spend a fortune on them. You just need to make sure it's one that's hydrating your skin. And then your first, I guess, point is, how much is my skin bothering me? What do I want to change? Because it might be more on the cosmetic side, or it might be you're saying, you know what, my face just feels so dry, doesn't matter what I'm doing, it's feeling dehydrated. Then the thing to attack first is the skincare. But if you're not feeling like that, it might be you're saying, well, actually, maybe my skin, I'm seeing more pigmentation, it's a little bit red, it's you know, and then so you've got to spend cleverly. That's what I'm trying to say, because especially with skincare, you can spend a fortune on it. So you've got to be smart, work out where you want to put your money, and then in one thing at a time, both within skincare and makeup. So that's my first.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, where am I at with my skin? So it's interesting. I recently started kind of doing about having a facial. I kept promising myself I'd have a facial once a month, and I probably end up doing it once every 2 months. And it's probably something where she kind of does it. It does at some point. It does feel a bit fizzy, so it's a very brightening. It's one of
those. Lovely.
And the woman who does that has a range of products that are associated with that. And I was wondering whether I should, as my first step, I should just get that. Because if I do the facial and then I support it with the products that she has, it was interesting.
Exactly.
The first time I had the facial, and she went, "Oh, your skin's doing really good." And I'm thinking, well, it was 6 weeks since I had the facial. That's quite good. And she went, and she said, and I said, yeah, but I'm not even using the products yet. And she, because we'd had it that I'd get them when I run out of everything else. And she went, yeah, well, when you do use the products, it's going to actually improve it quite a lot. So maybe that's a good place to start, with somebody that I trust and that I go to already, that has a range that then kind of fits in with that.
Because I think that when you see a facialist, obviously the first thing that they're doing is they're looking at your skin, they're looking at the texture of your skin. And if you start a journey with them, as long as you think you're seeing a difference, because if you're starting it and you're buying, you know, you're spending a lot of money on products and you're not seeing the difference, then equally there's some brilliant brands on the market that aren't supported by a facial, or don't have that sort of journey behind them. So I think that's a very good place to start, especially if you've come away from the facial feeling good and feeling like it.
Even my husband noticed the difference in my skin. I mean, which is quite amazing, isn't it, really?
It's incredible. I think so. For me, the points, first of all, are having those regular facials, I think you can definitely nurture a little bit more, just investing a bit of time. I know you probably don't feel like doing it, but that evening ritual with an oil and the gua sha or serum.
Is that
Serums
the
are,
roller? Is that the
yeah, so
roller?
I've got one upstairs actually. I can go and run and get it in a minute. Show you. They are actually amazing because the shape of it as well just goes along the jawline and around the eyes, but it can really help soothe if you have a headache or you've had a hard day. So you know,
Wow.
that is that maybe once a week if you can't afford going, because you know facials have become as well incredibly expensive. You know, even for teenagers to go and get a facial is quite hard for them. And I mean, one of my daughters, we needed to send her for one because she's suffering with her skin. I couldn't believe how much it cost. So all these things are becoming a luxury. But in COVID, we did very much start to understand self-care a little bit more, and actually just having a bath, putting on a face mask while you're in the bath, coming out, then getting a lovely oil on and using a tool. And you don't have to get a, you know, the actual gua sha. You can get like a beauty tool from I think you can get them in Boots, Superdrug. So and I could show you, I've got a couple upstairs actually. I'll go and grab them in a sec. But I think for you personally, if you've had a facial, you've enjoyed it, you're going to continue them, it would make complete sense to start. What brands, do you know what brands that she's using?
I meant to look it up this morning, but I can't remember. But it's a particular thing, and she says it's a brand which is kind of only available through practitioners.
Through Spa Environment, or
So it's through that, and I think she took it on. Obviously, she's been doing skincare for about 30 years, and she just said, I've looked into it, I've seen what it is, this is the product that I'm now using.
And I mean they tend to do that with their Spa Environment, or you know, facialists, they link onto 2 or 3 products. So I think if you've started that, I would recommend to do that. Maybe try starting to put one product in, or if they did, a really nice way is to get like the little sort of travel pack size.
I think they start you with a kind of, this is the kit. And then
exactly, because if you can start with that, you can start to see if it's working or not. And if it is, because the other thing is, after a while, our skin almost like gets used to it and it gets kind of bored, and it's time to shake it up again, add something else in, or change a little bit. And personally, I can tell after about 5 or 6 days if something's agreeing with my skin or not.
Okay.
A lot of people find it's quite interesting with essential oils, and it obviously depends on the brand, the amount of oils, but a lot of people, and especially around menopausal time, suffer with sensitivity, a heightened sensitivity in their skin. And you have to sometimes be quite careful with essential oils because they're incredibly powerful. There's a few brands that I know that actually suggest, please burn them, you know, have them in diffusers, or but do not put them into your skincare because they are not meant to be there. And that again is it's another subject, and that they're in lots of brands and lots of people absolutely love having them in there. But if your skin is sensitive and breaking out, it can be good to find a brand where they don't put essential oils in as well. So it's so dependent on the individual. But I think for you, it seems to me like you're interested but not that interested. You want the results, but you don't really have that much time, which is great. I love that. So for you, we just need to find quick fixes on things. And I think it'd be worthwhile saying that to your facialist. Just say, I just want, you know, one cream. I want one cream and one simple thing. I mean, but if you're enjoying your rose oil, stay with your rose oil.
I know, it's interesting. She doesn't like oil. She says oil repels water, so you shouldn't put it on your skin at all. And I'm going, but I love it. It's just,
I think
it's wonderful.
Everybody's changed their opinion of oils. So many oils are now available, and so many more emulsions and oils. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you should do things at different time of the day that you enjoy. And actually, I've got a balm that I use by a brand called Opidum, which is a French organic skincare. And I use the balm at night, and my skin literally sucks it up. It smells great. It has a whole kind of well-being for me. It makes me feel really good. And I think, you know, intuitively when you put something on your skin, whether it's feeling good or not.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, you need to, I think with information, everybody gives you information. It's a bit like menopause, skin, this, that, the other. You need to take the pieces of it that make sense to you and just and then create your own kind of regime around that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that feels like a good place to pause there, because that feels like I'm kind of doing, some things right. It'd be good.
yeah,
I think it'd be interesting to keep the oil by the bed so that when I get into bed, I can then try that. Uh,
yes.
I've seen a little rollery thing in the health food shop, actually, so I could
Perfect.
try that. And then see how that works. Like you say, if I'm kind of noticing a difference in 5 to 6 days, and then when I go back for my facial in, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks now, I can say I'll give this a go, and then I'll know whether that works or not.
Yeah. And I think it's such a big commitment of money into skincare,
Mm,
especially.
yeah.
The difference between a cosmetic product and the skincare is that, you have to buy the skincare and you have to be patient for 4 to 6 weeks to see if it's going to work.
Right.
But a cosmetic product, you put it on and you know instantly if you've had the right result or not. So they are a different investment. And I think before you buy the big, try to get the small. And you'll know in 5 to 6 days, if you can get enough for that, then that's the secret, I think. And then if something starts to, if you start reacting to something, it's not right for you. But equally, if you're trying something new, you can have a mild, you could have a little bit of, you notice a little bit of something for a day or two, because it's just getting used to a change.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, okay, brilliant. Okay, so let's pause now, and then we might come back and talk about something else in a moment.
Perfect.